It's Kaufman is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book, Deadpool Wolverine, number 9, written by Ben Percy. We got Robert Gill as the artist on this issue. Joshua Cassara is doing the cover here. Joshua Cassara is the main artist on this book. But like I said, we got Robert Gill doing the interiors here. This is a really cool cover. I love the side profiles of the main characters of this book here. And just some really great line work, some really detailed looking stuff. I like the colors on this as well. That sunlight on the cover here looks really good. Guru EFX does the colors on that cover there and on the interiors here. Now this whole series, when it started out, I mean, about the first 4 or 5 issues, I really liked this book. This was my favorite Marvel book going, pretty much. But I feel like they could have wrapped this entire storyline up probably in 5 or 6 issues. But here we are, we're at issue 9. And we've been doing the same thing since issue 1. As we've got Apocalypse has taken over the body of Strife. And he's trying to implement his own mutant paradise. He's tried to mind control Deadpool and Wolverine. Maverick's gotten involved. And then Maverick and Deadpool have become mind controlled by this Director Talon who works for the One organization, which is an organization that hates mutants. They're trying to control all mutants. Strife or Apocalypse, whatever you want to call him, he's actually created this Legacy 2.0 virus where if you're infected by it, you go under the control of Strife. And Director Talon has hacked that software, she says, and they've taken over that Legacy 2.0 virus, and they've started controlling mutants using it, and Strife has lost all control over that. I like Robert Gill's artwork in here a lot. It's really not too far a departure from Joshua Cassara's. He's drawing the characters. They all look like they're in the same costumes. Joshua Cassara draws them in. They look the same way. I feel like this storyline though has completely gone off the rails with this Hulk Wolverine character that Wolverine has been turned into by Strife here. I don't know if this was the original plan for this storyline, but it just seems like very Saturday morning cartoon. Like, do you remember the end of the She-Hulk show? I don't know if anybody watched that. I did sludge my way through that show. I did like the Daredevil cameos and the Daredevil fight scenes in that show. I did like that part of it. But at the end, it had that just ridiculous ending where the bad guy turned into this giant Hulk figure. And that's kind of how I feel with this Wolverine. It just seems like they didn't know which direction to take the storyline in, perhaps, or maybe they had to change the storyline for some reason. But I'm not a fan of this big giant hulking Deadpool storyline here. So I was talking about Rob Liefeld's artwork in my most recent video when I was covering the S.H.I.E.L.D. one-shot, and I was talking about how he never really draws a lot of backgrounds, and it's just a lot of figure drawing and action. And that's how I feel about with this story here. Like in a page like this, not a lot of backgrounds. You don't really know where you are in the book. Like when Deadpool is confronting this character Legacy here, you don't really know where he is. You know, there's no real backgrounds or anything going on. There's this weird scene too where Legacy like kisses Deadpool, but he's not really doing that. He's actually trying to extract the nanites out of Deadpool's body so that the Director Talon will no longer be mind controlling him. And he tells Maverick he can do the same thing for him, and that's when this giant Wolverine jumps in through, I guess, the wall or something. There's just a bunch of debris. We don't really know. Like I said, you can't really tell where you are at any given moment really in this comic book. It does say that it's in the Badlands in South Dakota. That's really kind of the only reference we're really given. And I've actually been to the Badlands. I've vacationed there, and you couldn't really tell this was the Badlands. There's practically no backgrounds at all. A little bit of rock here on the first page. Just some, like I said, looks like some dirt, some sand, maybe a little bit of hills in the background here. You can't really tell where you are. Feels like a cartoon, feels like Dragon Ball Z or something, where none of it really matters except just the fight scenes. I do kind of appreciate this comic book for that, where it feels like a 90s throwback comic book. There's a splash page here. I do want to say, I always hate it when you get a splash page like this, and then there's a giant ad right next to it that's like extremely distracting to the actual splash page. I don't know any other way they could really do it. I guess you got to put ads in there somewhere, but it's always so distracting when they put an ad like this right next to a splash page. Let me know your thoughts on that. I don't know. It just bothers me. When you get independent books, that's not really a problem because there's usually aren't big distracting colorful ads like that. But so we get, again, a big giant fight scene. I like the artwork in here. I love just all the rocks and the smoke in the background here. Some great panel layouts and designs. Tons of action going on here. Deadpool makes me laugh out loud when I read this. He goes, "Okay, so hear me out, Wolverine. I know you're probably enjoying being taller than a toddler for a change, but we've got to get you back to business as usual. Square-shaped, hairy, grumpy, smelly, haunted by the pain you've inflicted on others, reluctantly loving as a friend and father, overly fond of whiskey, and only occasionally berserk." And he points two guns at Wolverine's head, and Wolverine knocks him away there. Deadpool explaining that they're loners, they don't join teams, they don't join causes for like apocalypse strife. He says, "We go our own way." Another pretty cool looking page here. But again, I don't like this Wolverine, this hulking Wolverine figure that they've created. This is just ridiculous. I like this line too from Deadpool. This kind of explains this whole comic book at this point and kind of encapsulates how I feel about it too. He goes, "Would we have agreed to follow a time-traveling strife who is also Apocalypse, who wants to wipe out humanity to create a mutant paradise? Of course not. It barely makes sense when you summarize it. We've been hijacked, pumped full of mind-controlling stuff." And so we got Deadpool. He's just trying to bring his buddy Wolverine back. We get back to the fight between the two bad guys here. Again, this feels like G.I. Joe or something. Just the pacing and the way this story is all set up. So we got Maverick. He's back. He brings Legacy with him, who's this new mutant. I don't really understand who or where he came from or what he is. I think he was created by this Strife Apocalypse villain. But he kind of looks like Glob. If you know Glob here, this character right there. But he's like a blue version, and instead of having the bones that you can see on the inside, he's this like robot. I don't know what his power set really is. I think the Legacy 2.0 virus was derived from him or something. That's all kind of weird. And like I said, he just feels like an offshoot of Glob. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about this character Legacy. And the comic book just kind of ends here with basically everybody fighting. Wolverine fighting Legacy, Strife fighting Director Talon here. There's no real reveal or swerve or anything here at the end. It just says to be concluded. So apparently issue 10 is going to be the final issue of this, which I guess makes sense because there's no Age of Revelation Deadpool Wolverine book, it doesn't seem like you could have easily, I don't know what they're doing over there at X-Men, the editorial, and all the writers over there, but this book easily could have been a huge part of this Age of Revelation and led right into it. The storyline here is pretty similar. I did like that this series has been able to do its own thing for the most part. It started off pretty much coming straight out of the previous Ben Percy Wolverine X-Force run, where he was writing Wolverine and Deadpool a lot. And but after that point, it's really just kind of gone off and done its own thing and really had no connection to any of the other X-Men books, which I've liked about this. But it's kind of gone off the rails with the whole hulking Wolverine transformation that happened in the previous issue. But it all wraps up. I believe this is the penultimate issue. So with one more issue will be the last one, issue number 10. I've covered every issue so far, so go check out all my reviews of this Deadpool Wolverine series. And thanks again for watching. Go read comics.